Hello, everybody. Welcome for the webinar for February 2015. My name is Dustin Hartzer, and today we are going to talk about how to customize your WordPress site. We'll get started here in just a few seconds after a brief introduction and whatnot, and then we'll go right in. This webinar today is kind of off the cuff. There is not a lot prepared. We don't have any slides. We don't have anything really like structured. I have some notes of the things that I want to cover during the course of the webinar, but other than that, it's going to be a very open webinar. I'm going to show you a few things. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them along the way in the chat room. And of course, if you have questions later when you're viewing this on YouTube, you can go ahead and put a question down below in the questions box or in the comments box for this video. Now, we are on a live webinar that's happening through a Google Hangout on air, so there is a little bit of a time delay by the time that I'm talking and the time that you actually see what's happening. So towards the end, when I ask for questions, I'll have to ramble a little bit and just spend a little bit of time like doing some follow-up stuff and just talking through a few things before questions will actually start rolling in. But that's kind of one of the limitations of using a free software like Google. So today we are going to dive in and customize your site. And this is something that's kind of dear and true to my heart because I did this the wrong way for a very, very long time. Now, when I was a developer, I first got started, like the only way that I knew how to build websites, and I say myself was a developer, but I really wasn't. Like I was a guy who could go in and hack around and change things. And so when I got started, even before starting with WordPress, I got started by, downloading some sort of template somewhere and then going in, and I was using Dreamweaver at the time, and I would use Dreamweaver and I would slowly like change the things that I needed to. And, I would find a table that I needed, and I just duplicate it and then add the content that I want. Or I would, anything that I needed, I had to find it first and then copy it and then use it. Well, that was how it worked. And that's how I ended up just getting started. And that was kind of my model of getting ready and learning about WordPress, or learning about HTML, and then learning just how code in general worked. And so when I got to WordPress, when I moved into the WordPress space, I kind of thought that was the same way you do it with WordPress. You go in, you take your theme, you do some modifications, you update some things, you change some things, you make it exactly the way that you want it. And then once it's, once you have it exactly the way you want it, then it's fair game. You just have customized your theme, and now you've got a perfectly customized theme, and there's no problems whatsoever. But after a few years of doing this and some really big pain points, I just figured, oh, this isn't the best way. And I started to study how some of the big name players were developing themes and different things. And so I'm going to show you what I was doing before and why it's a bad idea, and then some of the ways that we can make customizations and changes to our websites within WordPress. And so that's what we're going to do. That's kind of the game plan of how we're going to do this. And this will work perfectly if you are using a framework like Genesis or the iThemes Builder framework, or if you are using a premium theme, maybe purchased from Woo Themes or themeforest.net, Elegant Themes, or even if you're using one of the WordPress themes like I'm using here. This is the 2013 theme that we are going to be using today. We're running locally on my computer here, so that's why you see it looks like the website URL is customize.dev, and that is what we're just going to go ahead and get started and diving right in and making some changes. So let's go ahead and start with just taking a look, and we're going to first make a CSS adjustment. Maybe we want to make something, we're going to try to figure out how we can change some CSS on this page. And then we're going to show you how to actually change how the content of the page is displayed. And then we'll go in and we'll do a few other things. So I'm going to go in from the main page. We're going to go to the sample page just so we can look at a page itself. And from there, we're going to start some customizing. And so say, for example, maybe I don't want that sample page text to be at the top of my page. Okay, scratch that. Let's just make it, I want to underline the title tag for this page. So that's pretty simple. We could go ahead and we could actually, if you just right click on this, I'm using Chrome. It works in Safari. I believe Firefox, they all have this thing called Inspect Element. And if you do this, it will actually pop up this little window, and I normally like to scroll up so I can see it, but I can see that I'm in the H1 and I'm in a class called entry title. And so if I wanted to, I could go in and I could just I could look in the CSS page and I could find the entry title and then I can change it. If you look over here on the right-hand side, you can actually see entry title. You can actually see that it is on line 1008 on style.css. And we can see that the font weight is normal. We can see the margin around it. And we can see that it's also pulling from H1, which has the font size of 48. So we can make some changes if we wanted. This is the really cool part about using the inspector. You can make changes that only you can see on the web, and then you can really kind of go in and customize your site. So say, for example, we want to say that we want this to maybe be just a little bit bigger. For example, maybe we want this to be 52, and so we can make it 52, or we can make it 150 or 142. We can make it really big, and we're basically just adjusting the CSS right on the fly. And I like to use this to try to figure out exactly what I want it to look like, and from there, then I can go in and I can customize the CSS to get exactly what I'm looking for. So let's go back to the example. It was 48 before, but we want to underline this title. So we can go in under entry title and we can say text decoration, and we're going to underline. That's what we want. So we can see that, hey, it's there, it's right there, like it's underlined the text. And now we just have to add this custom style to our theme, which is pretty easy. Like you can go in, let's do that right now. So entry title, it's on line 1008 of style.css. And so if we go into our dashboard, we can go to appearance, and then under our themes, we can go to editor. And then we are in the style sheet for 2013, and that's the theme that we are on. And if we had numbers, we could actually find this, is we could scroll all the way down here to 1008 or 1010, whatever it was before. I don't remember what it was before. Was it called entry title? Entry title, it was right there. We could go ahead and add this, and we can say, we'll space over here and we'll say text decoration. Can say underline, and then we kind of move over, we can say update file. If we go and we refresh this page, we'll see that now our page actually has that underline. And so we can see that it's pretty simple. Like it didn't take a whole lot. It's there. We added that extra line of code into the style.css page, and it works perfectly fine. Maybe if we wanted to change the color, we could have changed the color from this black color. Maybe if we wanted to, we could go in, it was right here. We could go in and we could change the color if we wanted to another color. We could have made all kinds of adjustments if we wanted to. So that's the first way that you could make changes to your website. You can make the changes and, customize this CSS to your heart's content. Another thing that you could do is say, for example, maybe we don't want this sample page even to display here. Maybe that's something that we want to get rid of it completely. We want to be able to control this, or, not have the title of the page up there. Depending on your theme, you may want to do this. And so what we could do here is we could actually, we could open it up in our FTP client or whatever, but we could actually just come into our content over here. We could come in and we could actually make changes if necessary. So I know that this is normally held in the page template. And you know this a lot by just working with WordPress a lot. You know that if it's a page, it's in page.php. If it's on the homepage or the index where all of the blog post summaries are, that's in index.php. If it's a kind of a search page or a list of archives, that's in archive.php. And this is one that you just kind of get used to figuring out and learning as you get more advanced with WordPress. So if we look through this code just a little bit, I don't know if we'll be able to see it here or not, but let's take a look here. Let's see if we're looking here. We're looking at the code a little bit, and we're seeing that while there are posts, we'll actually list the post, and then we'll say here's the article. There's an ID. It gives it a custom article ID. It gives us a class. Then it says a header class, and it has a thumbnail. And if there's a thumbnail, we'll post the thumbnail. And then if not, it's not there. So it is, let's see, we got the loop going, and there's actually what I normally do is I look for H1 content. Is there anything that has H1 in here that we could change? Because that's what we're looking for. We want to remove that H1 tag. Well, it's not actually there because it's held over here in the content.php file, I believe. And so if we go in here, we can actually see if it looks like this code right here will show if it is single. And so that means if it is a post, if it's the single.php is the template that displays just the post information. So we know that that one's not the one that we're looking for. And so let's see what else we have. If it's search, so that means if it's a search page or something like that, that's what those are. And we're just going to go in and let's see if I can even find this. Of course, I probably won't be able to on the fly. Oh, so this is, if it's single, then it's going to display the title, or if it's a page, it's going to display it right here. And so the page will actually make this should be a hyperlink, or if it's not. Anyways, we'll try to figure out this. This is what happens when you try to do something on a live webinar. But anyways, if let's just remove this one because it's here and it's easy and we know how to do it. So let's say, for example, we go back to our home page. And so our home page now has hello world, and we'll go to this page itself, and we want to get rid of this title. You probably would never do that in a real instance, but since that's where the code is, let's go ahead and just fix that. So we don't want that anymore. And so if I'm in this editor and I want to get rid of it, I normally copy it just in case, like I want to get rid of, just in case I need to use it again at some point. And so I'll just go ahead and remove that, and we will save this. Now, hopefully I didn't do anything wrong. Otherwise, I may mess up. And the biggest stipulation with using this editor is if you do miss a semicolon, if you forget to close a PHP bracket or something like that, that will actually like break your code, and you won't be able to log in. You won't be able to view your site. You won't be able to do a lot of things. So this is best done with the files stored locally on your computer or in an FTP editor, where you can actually hit Command Z, Control Z, and undo, and then resave the file and re-upload it. So in theory, like, we should have removed the hello world, and indeed we did. It's not there anymore, and it's like, okay, well, we didn't really need it there, and we got rid of it, and we just continue to tweak and make those modifications necessary. Like we get rid of everything that we need from a WordPress theme, and then we're all good to go. Or are we? Well, actually, this is not the best way to do it, because what happens if, and this happened to me once, and I hated my life after it. But if you go up to the dashboard and look at your updates panel, someday you may get an update that says, oh, your theme needs to be updated. Look, 2013, I have version 1.1, and the update goes to 1.4. And I'll be like, oh, I need to have the latest version of my theme. And so I'll click the Update Themes button. Oh, it's automatically updated. Perfect. Let's go back to my page, and I'll refresh. And hey, wait a minute. This is back, and it's not underlined. What happened to my changes? Well, anything that you do to a WordPress theme will actually get, when it gets updated by either WordPress or, if Automatic's theme, like this one got to updated like it did, it will wipe out all of those changes. If it was a premium theme and you install an update, like, it's going to wipe out all of those custom changes, unless you have really went in and documented where those changes are. And then you take your old version and your new version, you compare them side by side, making sure that every single piece, okay, I added this code over here, so I got to add it back on my new one. It's actually a complete pain, and it just frightens me to death, when those update buttons happen. I actually used to, way back in the day before I was smart enough to know, I actually modified, it was Gravity Forms was a form that wasn't working quite right. So I added some custom CSS right into the custom CSS of the plugin, which of course you're never supposed to do. And so every time that I went to update the plugin, I actually had to go back in. Well, the first time I completely forgot, and I just hit the update button, and then I lost all my custom changes. The next time I got a lot smarter, and I actually took like all the custom changes and I saved it in a text file and uploaded it to my FTP server. So I had it there. So when I updated the next time, all I had to do, I updated the plugin, then I went in and I added that code back into the bottom of the CSS file within the plugin. So not really the best way to do it, but that's what I ended up doing. At least that saved my tail from having to go and, re-figure out what all that code was that I was using. So the first method of making changes to your website is just using the internal editor and making changes right to your theme, your custom CSS, or you just add right to the CSS, or you add and remove straight from the theme files. And this is an absolute no-no, and this is not the way that we want to develop websites. Doesn't matter if it's even The only way that you should be modifying a theme is if it's a theme that you've created from complete scratch yourself, or you know that somebody else has completed for you. It's not like a commercial theme, like those themes that you buy that many people buy and customize. Those are absolutely the ones that you do not want to spend time customizing, because those authors may roll out something new. Like, I know for a fact when WordPress went from 3.3 to 3.4 version numbers, the way that some developers were using JavaScript actually broke a lot of the things that the way that they were using their files, or the way that their themes were loading. And so I had one case when I updated a customer's website, and I did it locally. Thank goodness, because then I didn't have to like sweat over why their site was broken. But when they went to update their, like, they had a new push to say, hey, here's our new themes, but they didn't have a change log, and I had modified a lot of things in the file. So then I had to go through and I really had to go and look at every single file and see, okay, is this one different? Is this one not different? I had to kind of figure out where the thing was breaking, how to fix it, and then move one code from the old or from the new. I basically just kind of mushed things around and made one new thing, which still was the complete wrong way to do it. But it took me hours to try to figure out, okay, I've got to move these features from the old website to the new website, all because of I wasn't smart enough to figure out, okay, this JavaScript is written improperly, and that's what's causing the entire theme to break. And so that's one big no-no, is to never do that. Never customize a theme that you did not create, or you know that was created for the website. If you inherit a website from somebody, maybe it was a customer that, they left their web development company that they were using, and it was one-off developed specifically for them, and now you're taking it over, then you're okay to modify that theme. But if it's something off the shelf, you never want to modify that, because there could be updates come in the future. So that is the first thing. The second thing is you could also, you could actually just go in and start making customize, or you can make CSS adjustments. So remember, like we did before, we made the H1 tag, we underlined that, and that's what we ended up doing. So if we could go back and do this again, we could just look it up so we can see. But basically, you could add on a plugin, or the one that I'm going to recommend for this case is the Jetpack plugin, because they have custom CSS built right in. Sometimes themes have like their own settings panel, and they have like customized and custom CSS. Well, you can add that, but you'll lose all those custom changes if necessary, like when you change your theme. And so you don't really want to like lock them in. You don't necessarily want to lock any changes in with that theme in case you make modifications later, or you change themes later. You don't want to have to try to go in and scour that code and figure out, okay, this was customized, I need to move this from my old site to my new site. So what you could do is you could use the Jetpack plugin, and I'll show you that here in a second. We're going to use entry title again, and since I'm lazy, I just want to go ahead and save this, copy that and save it. And we can go over to appearance and use edit CSS. This is a widget this is actually part of Jetpack. I may get an error or two with Jetpack because I'm running locally and it doesn't necessarily always like that. But we could go ahead and we could say entry title, and then we could say text decoration, and we could say underline. And then we could save this as a style sheet. And then that should, if we go back over here and we do a refresh, we should see that now our entry title now has a text decoration of underline. And so we know that if the changes happen, like that will, if we have to do another refresh of a site, or let's actually just do this real quick. We can go over to, let's just change themes real quick, and we'll change to another theme that needs updated, which would be 2012. So we can activate this theme. And so let's go ahead and take a look here. So this will need a little bit different code. So if we right click on this and we do style element, and then we can see that this is actually, it's got a different class here. So let's go ahead and just customize this one. I just want to show you how this works. And so the custom style sheet is within Jetpack. It's based on what theme you're using. So you see the custom CSS that we had just pasted in here and used is no longer here, because that's now saved inside the WP options table for that theme. So if we ever go back to the 2013 theme, all those custom changes will be re-implemented on our site. So of course, this is all just to do it just because. And we are going to, let's see, what did we use before? We used text decoration, and then we said underline. And then from there, we can save that. And now if we refresh, we should see the text decoration is now underlined. Now, if we go into our dashboard and look at our updates, we know that we have an update for 2012. We have, 3 versions old of 2012. So we can update this theme. We'll go ahead and update that. And it looks like that all updated just fine. So we could refresh. Let me close this window so you can see it a little better. And if we refresh this page, the hello world is still there. So all our custom stuff that we did is still saved because it's saved in a separate location away from those theme files. And so if you are doing just CSS customization, maybe you only need to change colors, maybe you want to change backgrounds, you want to add a little flair different places, and you only need CSS adjustments, then something like the Jetpack plugin, I know there's others out there. If you just search for custom CSS in the WordPress repository, you'll find others that are out there that you can just go in and just make custom CSS changes specifically for one specific website or for that specific theme. And so that is another way that you can make customizations to a theme without actually having to, make big change, without losing changes when a premium theme gets updated. So that's way number 2. First way is the wrong way, and that's updating right within your WordPress dashboard, or, updating your theme exactly, right the code for your theme. You're modifying a premium theme. That's the wrong way. Second way is you could just make CSS adjustments with a plugin like Jetpack, and but you can't really change the way of the code works. So for this example, let's go back to, let's open that tab back up. And say, for example, instead of like trying to remove that code like we did before, we remove the actual PHP that generates this code. What we could do is we could take this element and we could find it, let's see, we could find it right here, and we could actually just go into our CSS. And if we wanted to, and this is not really the right way to do this, instead of using text decoration, we can use, we can say display, and we could do none. And this will essentially like remove it from the code. It's not really removing it because it's still the code actually still loads. You can see here that the H1 and the class and the whole tag there still loads every time, but you just can't see it. So this isn't the best way to modify and remove stuff from your site, because you're not actually like removing any code. You are just hiding the stuff that you don't need. And that's not the right way to do it either. And so what you can do is you actually can build a child theme. And I'm going to show you a child theme right here on the fly. And we'll just build this real quick. And then you can see if we wanted to remove that title, we can just remove it from the child theme. And then that doesn't affect anything when you update a site. So I believe if I plan this correctly, I believe I have one update left. And so I do. 2014 is the theme that we'll create a child theme for, because I want to be able to make some changes. And then I want to show you when you update the 2014 theme, none of these changes actually will get wiped out. So if everything goes to plan, we should be good. So what I normally do if you want to make a child theme is I go to the WordPress codex. So WordPress codex. So you can go to the main page, and then you can search for create child theme. Child themes. Child theme creator. So there's a plugin that you can do that. But we basically want to do a child theme. And so this basically will walk you through the steps and why is a child theme important. It's some of the reasons that we talked about already. It can speed up development time. It's a great way to learn about WordPress and how that works. And you won't lose any changes if a theme is updated. So basically what you want to do to create a child theme, it's really simple. You just need to create a new directory and then put in 2 files, a style.css and a functions.php file. And then from there, that's about it. There's not a lot of things. We'll work through this as an example, and then we'll go from there. I'll show you how to make customizations. And these child themes can be made for any theme. Okay, not any theme, but mainly any premium theme that you would purchase from a company in WooCommerce, Elegant Themes, ThemeForce.net, things like that. If you are a Genesis person, someone who uses Genesis and are already using a child theme, you purchase for or purchased through Genesis or Studio Press, then you can't make a child theme of a child theme, unfortunately. So you're in a little sticky predicament of how you would make customizations there. And so that one would be the case of, you might want to use that child theme as a starter theme and then kind of build your own child theme on top of that and kind of make modifications and then not use the official one that you purchased. Because if you bought the official one and then it had an update, then you may lose some changes. And by doing that, you could just give the theme a new name and kind of modify it enough so it wouldn't be recognized as something that's official coming from Studio Press. And so let's go ahead and get this thing started. So I'm going to go into my Finder. We're in the customize.dev. We are in WP-content. We will go to, we're making this as 2014. So I need a file here and we're going to call it 2014 and we'll call it child. And then I am going to open this up in Sublime Text. And then we need two files. So, whoops, we'll say new. And then this one is going to be, we'll save this one as style.css. And that's going to be in WP content. And then in themes, and then 2014 child. And then you need one more. And that one will be saved as index. I think that's what it said, right? You need functions.php. So we will save this one as functions.php. That makes sense. And I'll show you why in just a second. So from there, what we can do then is we need to add some information into the header of that style.php page. And so we'll go ahead and just copy and paste that information in. We want to call this the 2014 and we'll change both of those. The lowercase f. With the template, we will call 2014. This basically here, is that how you spell 14? Child 2014. Yep. This right here is probably the most important part, this template, and that is the main parent template. So it knows that it's going to go out and see, oh, I've loaded, I need to load everything that's in the 2014 theme first, and then I can load everything in the child theme second. And so we'll do that. We'll change this to 14 as well. And we should be good. I mean, we can customize this more, but for example purposes, this should be all that we really need. And we can save this. And then we need to add just a little bit more code to that functions.php file. And we can basically just go like this. And we can copy this into the functions.php file. And I'll tell you what this code does. We need to open this up. We need to say PHP so it knows that it's PHP, and then we can save. Basically, it's going to run this function, the functions that says theme and queue styles, which is a function name that we made up. It's going to run this when WordPress is enqueuing all the scripts. And so basically what that's going to do is it's going to find the parent style, which is 2014, and then it's going to get the template directory, then slash style.css. Basically what that means is it's going to go out and it's going to load the style sheet from the 2014 theme, and it's going to display that first, and then it's going to use anything that we put in style.css. It's going to load that second. When any of those changes will overwrite the changes in the main parent theme. So we can save this and then go back to our WordPress appearance area. We can go to appearance and we can go to themes, and we should see, if we did everything right, we can see the 2014 child theme, and we can go ahead and we can activate that sucker, and we can go and we can do a refresh to our site. And it's going to change, obviously, because we are now using 2014. We've went from 2013 to 2012 and now to 2014. So we're using all of those default themes. So now what we want to do, maybe we want to change the color of Hello World. Let's just change that to be different. Maybe we'll change it to be green or whatever. So again, like when you're using a premium theme that you didn't develop, you probably don't know off the top of your head, okay, what classes or IDs are these specific elements using? So you want to, let's go ahead and just remove this. So we will inspect the element, and we will see that it is entry title, which is nice. And we can see that, I guess we can't really see that it's what color it is. What happens if we give it a color right here? Can we say yellow? Will it change it to yellow? It will change it to yellow. So we can use this class to do that. Yellow is probably not the best color, but let's go ahead and we'll move this into the style.css file. So we can go to, we'll add this class. We will go and we can say color, and let's say green this time instead. Maybe that will be easier to see. And we can do a refresh here, and we can see that it is turned to green. To make sure that sometimes I'm like, did I do that right? We'll still do the underline or text decoration, and we'll say underline. Just so you can see that, yes, we are in complete control of this page. All right, so we are there. We're going to go, let's go right into that page. We're looking at the single.php for this. And I know this just because this is the actual content. This is the full page. If we would go to the home page here, we could see that this is the excerpt for that first post. If we click on it, it'll take us to the ability to see comments. So I know that we're on single.php. Now, maybe for an example, we don't want to show that it's coming from the username customize, or maybe we don't want the date on there, or we want to customize this in some way, shape, or form. How do you do that with a child theme? And this is probably the most powerful thing that that we can do within WordPress. So I'm really excited to show you this too. So let's go over to. I'm going to have to open up in Sublime Text. I will have to open up the 2014 theme. So let's go ahead and we'll drag that into there, and we can open that as well. So I know that we need the single.php. So, well, actually, it is it's single.php, but it is in the template part content. So we want to go into content. And this is sometimes like a little game to try to figure out, like, especially with the 2014, the default themes, the 2014, 2012, 2013, a lot of these have a very generic, basic layout, and then they have all the content formatted in a page that's called content.php. Sometimes if we go to the page, we'll see that it is in content, and it's in content.page. So anything that would be for a page would be here in this content.page. Anything that's in content would be in here, and they're all kind of merged together, and they're just, it works. So let's say, for example, like, let's see here, make sure that I want to edit the right information. I want to make sure that we can remove what we really want to remove. So let's see, we could take out the category, I believe up here. We could do, so that's in the posts. Let's just go ahead and we'll just to make things simple and easy. And so we have save some time for comments and questions. Let's just go ahead and remove that title for the, for that page. Remember, we did this before in the last one, but we can just go ahead and instead of removing it, let's just say, let's just put in here the title is so it's basically taking the title and it's wrapping it with H1 tags. Maybe we want to just wrap it with H4 tags. Let's just make that change to make it easy. And of course, you can go ahead and customize these things to your heart's content. Now, you see what I did there? I started to customize the actual 2014 theme, which is not what you wanted to do. So you got to make sure that you're always in the right area, the right theme. So we actually need to customize this in the 2014 child theme. So what you would do is you would highlight this whole thing and copy it. And then I'm going to tab over and open up my 2014 theme. And since I don't have that file here, I don't have any additional files, I'll open up a new tab. I'll paste this information in, and then I will save this in that file. You have to call it the file, the exact same file name as it was called in the 2014 theme. And so that was actually called content.php. And we will save that, and we will use PHP. And then if we wanted to, we could go in, if it's on a single page, then we could go in and we could say H4, and we could do H4. And we can save that. And now if we go back over to Google Chrome, we can highlight this, we can do a refresh, and we can see, let's take a look. We can right click, we can inspect element, and we can see that we've changed it to H4. And so if we had special classes or special things that were going on with the H4 tag, we could see that that's how it would be controlled. In this case, it looks like the font size and everything's controlled by the name entry or the class entry title. So it's not too big of a deal. Like, we don't really see a lot of changes here, but we can see that that has been changed. Let's look and see if there's anything else maybe in this page that we can change very quickly. If we wanted to, I guess we could even remove this post-it on. This would be, let's just remove this text right here. It's basically going to remove the metadata that is for post-it on. So I can't, I don't know exactly where this function is called. And that is what is displaying like the date, who posted, the comments and stuff like that. I guess the comment is there. But if we remove this and save this, we can see a little bit more drastic changes on our site. So we do a refresh and we can see now that we don't see the date that it was posted or the author. And so we can see that we've just made a change. We've made it more custom. We made it exactly what we want, but we haven't messed with the 2014 at all. So say we go over to 2014 and say we actually want to update this. And so we'll have to go in here to our dashboard. We're going to go and we're going to update our theme. And we will update it. We'll let that do its little trick. And then we will refresh. And we will see that it is exactly the same as we left it. Now, we could, if we wanted to, just to make sure that we did things right, we can go over to the 2014. We can activate that. And then we can refresh here. And sure enough, those two items came back because now it's pulling the information from the 2014 theme. Now, the big thing is you want to make sure that you always need to have the parent theme in the themes directory. And so if this was an actual client project of mine or something along those lines, what I would do is I would go in and I would activate the 2014 child theme, and we'll go ahead. I would remove 2015. I would remove 2013. I would remove 2012. I would remove this. This is an extra theme that I thought we might use, but we're not using on this webinar. And so that's what I would go ahead and remove. Now you may be thinking, okay, this is a client project. They might stumble in, they're going to go and they're going to see this themes. And now they've got this, just checkered background. Like what in the world is going on? Well, you actually need to add a screenshot. And this is pretty simple to do. All you have to do is basically take a screenshot and name it screenshot and put it inside of that child theme folder. So for example, let's just do this page. Like you could always do like a snapshot of your picture of your website, and then you could put your logo over it, or there's a lot of things that you could do with this to make it look more custom and make it look like, hey, this is the theme created by me or my company for you, your company. So what I'm going to do is on the Mac, if you do Shift Command 4, this is going to take a screenshot and save it right to my desktop. We'll just do this kind of quickly here. And so we'll go ahead and snap that. And also just the way that my computer works, it automatically updates and sends it right to a service called Cloud Up. But basically we can go to my desktop and it's called Screenshot. And if I save this and call this Screenshot, and then we'll take it to 2014 to this folder here, and we'll put it in the child theme folder. So now it's there. And if we go over to manage themes, we can refresh and it will be shown there in that way. Now, granted, I took like a long skinny view, kind of a widescreen angle, and that's why it looks goofy like that. It needs more of a squarish 4:3 type ratio. And so that's the reason that it doesn't quite look right there on my theme. So that's the way that you would make a child theme for a website. Now, would be perfect for an example. I got an email from somebody that wants a small little tweak done to their theme, and they just want to be able to update, they want to add like a border somewhere, or they want to add a photo that's not in the theme. It's not really built for that, but they kind of just, you want it built in there. And think about this, how easy or hard would it be if you're thinking about helping that client and they're like, okay, what you need to do is you need to take this file, which is the image file that you have, and you have to upload this to your media library. And then, or you have to, upload that to your media library. And then you have to open up your index.php file and then make this change. Or you have to open up an FTP client and you have to upload these few files like that. It's going to be very tedious, and it's not going to be the best use case for a potential client. It's going to be more work on their end. Like, yes, you can do it very quickly, but it's going to be a lot of work for you to go in and to explain exactly how to make these changes and make their website look great. What I would recommend doing is creating a child theme, and then that way you can zip it up, and then you can say, oh, hey, you have this, go ahead over to themes, say add new, and then they can upload their theme, and then you can take that zip format and upload it just like that, and then tell them to activate that, and then it will actually just start working on their site. It'll save you a lot of headaches of trying to get the right files on an FTP client, or even install an FTP client and try to get all set up with that. Just going to save a lot of headaches. Plus, if that theme ever updates someday, they can update the theme and it's not going to mess up their site. Plus, if they have extra customizations, extra things that they want to do at some point, they can do all of those things right from that child theme that was created. Or later down the road, maybe they are hiring you for more work, then they can give you that child theme and you can make the modifications there. Those were the kind of the big things that I wanted to share today. If you have questions, start thinking about them, and you can put those in the public chat box here within Webinar Jam or this Google Hangout online. And then I'll just keep talking for a little bit to see if any questions do come up. But these are kind of the different ways that you can customize a site. You can do it the wrong way, which is editing your theme file specifically, and then you might lose those changes. Or the other thing is, like, what you may do, which I did a lot, was you'll never update those themes. You're like, oh, I won't update those themes. Well, sometimes there's vulnerabilities that are in those themes that need to be cleared out, so that you're running a very secure website. You're not going to be susceptible to hacking or malware, things like that. So you want to make sure that your themes are always updated if a developer pushes out an update to those files. So that's the wrong way to do it. Or if you just need custom CSS stuff, little tweaks here and there. Sometimes within a theme, a premium theme, especially a lot of those ones that are built by themeforest.net, they have a lot of stuff built right in. So you can go in, they actually have settings panels where you can change colors and you can tweak things. Those are all great, and those will only be changes that will stick to that particular theme. If you ever change themes, like obviously your colors aren't going to change. If you have purple colors for your titles and you move to a new theme, like they're going to use whatever that new theme's color scheme is. They're not going to save those changes that you made, within that customizer or whatnot. So that obviously makes sense. But if you wanted to make customizations that if you needed them again in the future, or you want to keep them kind of separate from the rest of your site, so if you could use the Jetpack plugin, use that custom CSS feature, and then add all of your CSS in. And then if you ever leave themes or update a theme, or all of that is stored in your database separately. So then, you don't have to worry about, okay, what did I change? What did I tweak? What did I modify? So that would be the first best option. The first option isn't best at all. The next option is custom CSS in a separate plugin, whether it's Jetpack or its own plugin. And then third thing is the best way is to create a child theme and then keep everything completely separate. Then you can update your theme. You can trust that blue button when it says there's a new theme update. Just go ahead and click it, update it, know that you'll never lose anything. And that is one of the best feelings in the world when you're working with a client and you know that if you update those themes and there's not going to be, mass chaos, the website's not going to go down, you can feel confident to hit that button on a Friday afternoon when you're about ready to leave the work for the weekend. And it's awesome. Like, let me tell you, once you get to that point where you know that you've done everything correctly and that you're not going to break anything, you could really trust that button and you aren't going to break your site. So let's see. Roby says another perfect scenario is to use a child theme when you create a custom page template. Yes, that's another really great point. So say, for example, like within this page here, maybe we have a reason to not have a sidebar for some reason on a particular page. We could do this. One of the ways to do it is you could just go in and you could delete the sidebar, but then again, the sidebar would never appear again, for any other page. So what I've done in the past, and even if I've had different cases for a website, it's always easiest to add content to a WordPress site or a WordPress page where you could go into the WordPress dashboard, add content, and then push that to be live rather than opening your FTP editor, finding the file that you need, editing it, making your custom HTML, whatever, and then pushing it open. So I've done that for landing pages before, create custom landing pages. And then from there, you could update them within the WordPress dashboard. And so you can do all of that with a custom theme as well. Tim says, let's see, are the theme settings saved within the database? So when you update the theme, those settings will carry forward? Yes. So if you update those, it looks like the Jetpack customizations are saved within the database with a line that says, this is the custom updates for this particular theme. So we ran into the example. We started with a 2013 theme. I made custom CSS adjustments, and then I changed it to 2012. And those custom adjustments stuck with the 2013 theme, if that makes sense. And then when I refreshed and I added new 2012 information, I changed some style and did some things. Then I updated that theme. Then all of those changes stayed as well. Like those are saved in the database in a separate line that says, hey, keep these even if I update the themes. So those theme settings are saved in those databases. Even if you're using a themeforest.net theme or something like that, all of those changes are saved. Most of those do a good job of, if you save custom colors and stuff like that, and then those have updates, those ones for the most part will save as well. They do a good job of saving those as well. So if you have those settings panel, those extra setting panels baked right into your dashboard, you're really usually pretty safe with those when it comes to updating your theme, because you're using everything that the developer has created for you. You're not doing, you're not modifying something that they created and then trying to update that as well. So I think I answered your question, Tim. If not, you could leave another message in the box there. But so I guess the roundabout, the point there is, if you've taken the time to customize within the WordPress dashboard, within your own customization, like for the theme custom settings, if you've done it there and you have to update the plug or update the theme, those will stick. They should, if the developer did everything correctly. If not, then you always want to make sure that, for me personally, I always update on a local machine somewhere that's not my main website. You make a complete copy of it, you do it somewhere else, you hit that update button, you cross your fingers and you hope that everything works right. And then when it does, then you can do it on your live site and that all works out. So if there's any more questions, go ahead and pop those in the box. Theming is one of the funnest but hardest and most complicated things about using WordPress, because I found that WordPress is really easy, but it's not really easy to create that perfect theme that you're looking for. It does take time. It does take effort. Like, I love taking themes and then making them into their own. It's hard, but I like taking somebody else's style, what they've created, and then merging it and melting it and making it exactly what I want it to be. So if I go out and I purchase a premium WordPress theme, I will pretty much ignore all of the user interface stuff that they've built into the theme. And sometimes I'll even kind of disable it, if you will, which isn't the right way to do it, of course. But what I'll do is I'll just go in, I'll create my child theme, and then I start making changes on top of changes. What you could do if you really, really, really wanted to, and you wanted to save some time. So remember, over here in Sublime Text, I'm going to look here at this is the 2014 theme. And basically what the easiest way to do this is, if you need to update something, if you need to change something, maybe you need to change the sidebar, one of the classes that's the sidebar. You basically you can take all of your text here and then you copy it to your child theme and you call it the exact same name as what it's called in the parent theme. If you wanted to, you could actually go in and you could load up and just copy the entire folder structure of your parent theme. You can put it in your child theme folder if you're going to make major changes, and a lot of them, regularly. You pick this theme, that you're going to make a lot of changes different places. That would save you a lot of time than every time that you need to, I'm going to update that 404 page. Now I've got to copy that one over. I'm going to update the author page. I got to copy that one over. That will take more resources to load, slightly or whatever. But then what you could do is, when you're all said and done, you could take a look in your Finder or your internet, or you could, whatever this is called, the file manager, and you could see, if you looked at, you could organize them by dates. And so you could see anyone that wasn't modified, you could actually just remove, and it wouldn't hurt your child theme at all. So for example, these are the 4 files that I changed today. If we had duplicated some of the other ones over and I hadn't made those changes, I hadn't made any changes to them, they would show an older date. They would all be the same date at the same time, or whatever that theme was updated last or whatever. And then you could just go ahead and remove those, because you don't necessarily need to load all the files for the child or for the main parent theme and then load all of the child theme files as well. So I hope that makes sense. So David asks, thanks so much. This has been great. Do you ever create themes from scratch? Me, myself, personally, no, I do not create themes from scratch. One, I don't really have time to do themes from scratch. And two, I am horrible at it. I'm not a designer. I know what looks good, and I know, like, I normally will go find a theme that I really like and then start modifying it from there, because it just saves hundreds of hours of like development time and CSS and all that kind of stuff. So I never do that. If you were to make a child theme, like, or if you were to make a theme from scratch, basically you would do kind of like what we did today. You would create a folder, and then you would put in a style.css, and then a theme. A WordPress theme needs an index.php. So basically you would just you wouldn't need this template. So that's kind of the line that you would need for a child theme. And you wouldn't need this functions.php file with this actual code. You would put extra functions.php code in there, as you were building out the theme. But you would kind of go about it the same way. And you could, if you really wanted to, like, you could use the 2014 as a framework and a starting point, and then make a child theme and then modify it a lot. Or you could just take the 2014 theme and kind of tweak out and pull out the things that you needed and make that your base theme. There's a lot of ways that you can do it. I'm not really a big fan of creating themes personally, just because I don't have time and I don't have that good sense of like, oh, I need to add this style for this. Like, I like to purchase a theme that's practically done, and now it's up to me to customize it and make it do exactly what I want it to do. Because more than likely, like, the block quotes are in there and they look good, the menu structure is all there and it looks good, and like, it takes a lot of time to get a theme looking good. Like, if I were to guess, I would say probably some of those themes that are on Theme Forest or Elegant Themes, Woo Themes, like, I would say they have probably at least a minimum 100, if not more, hours in development, just getting them to that point, especially if they have that custom settings panel where you can tweak and modify CSS and pick colors for your H1 tags and all that kind of stuff. If that's all built in, you've got hundreds of hours built in, and I just don't have that kind of time. Like, it's worth buying a $50 plug or a $50 premium theme and then modifying it, in my case. So there has been a few cases in my history where I have done where somebody wants a custom theme, and they have had somebody design it in Photoshop. And then what I've done is I've actually paid somebody to take it from Photoshop to HTML, and then I've built a WordPress theme from the HTML files. So that's a little tricky to do, but it can be done that way. That way, I do that to make sure that I know that only the stuff that I want is in the WordPress theme. So I've done it that way as well. David also asks, he says, the basic WordPress themes are open source. Correct. Yes. Anything that you find on the WordPress repository is 100% open source. You can use it, you can modify it, you can tweak it. Most of the time it's nice to say, like, you can actually put in this style area up here in a comment. You can say this was forked from, or this was inspired by the 2014 theme, or, another theme or whatever. So that is the case. Those themes that you purchase, WooCommerce, stuff like that, that has an author to it. It's all under like the GNU public license. But I don't know exactly, like, if you can modify those, like, technically, like, I'm not exactly sure on those. But the basic themes, the ones that you find on the WordPress repository, yes, are completely okay to go ahead and just tear it apart, learn. That's probably one of the best features about using a premium theme or some sort of theme from the WordPress repository. Just learning how other developers build stuff makes a lot of sense, and just figures it helps you learn it in a way that you couldn't learn just sitting down trying to figure things out. So that's why I like to use another reason why I like to start with a theme, and that just saves me some time as well. So if there's any last questions, we'll go ahead and put those in the box. If not, thanks for coming to this webinar. I had a lot of fun, and this was one, and it actually worked out really well. It was one that I'd been planning for all week in my head, and I was like, can I pull this off without any slides? Can I pull it off without, like, having a actual structure? Like, this is the things that I want to cover. And as far as I can remember, I covered everything that I wanted to. And the big thing was the child themes. Like, that's the best way to make custom updates to a WordPress theme. That just really ensures that you're never going to mess anything up, and you're always available to update and get the latest and greatest changes for your website that has been purchased from a third-party company. So if you've built something, or if you've inherited a website from somebody that somebody else has built, only a one-off type product, you can go ahead and modify those themes without worrying about it too much. But if it's something that's off the shelf that you could go out and buy another copy of that theme, then I would make sure that you're using a child theme. But if, for an example, like if you inherit a project with somebody that has purchased a premium theme, say from Elegant Themes, they purchased it, but they have made a lot of edits and revisions. One of the things that I would do personally was I would go purchase another version of that theme, a brand new version of it, and then go in and you can actually do like compares, and you can compare different files and you can see what has been changed and what hasn't been changed, and then take those changes and just build those into a child theme. And I think that would go a long, long way, just to make sure that you are using, you're building your site the correct way. And then if Elegant Themes updates their themes, then there shouldn't have any problems. So it doesn't look like there's any more questions in the question area. Yeah, stick around for just a couple minutes in the chat box. If questions do come in, I'll answer those via the text. But thank you so much for tuning into the February webinar here in 2015. I'll have another one in March, and I'm not sure what we'll talk about yet, but we'll definitely have one in March. And until then, take care and enjoy building WordPress child themes. Bye-bye.